No, wait. I want this. It's going to be okay.
You got this. You still got this. You got this.
Okay.
So we're at a buyer's consultation. The goal is to just get me to sign towards the end. And I guess, Eve, my last question, I'm a little nervous. You kind of explained this really well, but I guess if I sign this BBA, am I gonna owe you money? That part scares me a little, I have to be honest.
Well, of course, none of us want to pay money arbitrarily, right?
Yeah.
So, and obviously I don't work for free, but what do you understand about how I do get paid?
Well, I know you explained that it looks like the seller can pay, but maybe they're not guaranteed to pay. So I guess I'm just nervous. What if the house I love, the seller doesn't pay, or how does that work?
Well, it sounds like you have a lot of uncertainty and you've come to the right person. I'm here to calm those nerves. I do get paid, and my commitment to you is I'm going to ask the seller to pay for me. Now,
Okay.
If that works out for you and that feels comfortable to you, does that sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, I mean, that would be my first choice.
Okay, well, great. So if I can at least get that negotiation, are you comfortable and would you sign with me today if I can at least negotiate that for you? Now, on the flip side of that, if for whatever reason there's a slight chance that they're not, because I do think I'm worth the 3%, would you be willing to at least negotiate maybe 0.5%?
Yeah, definitely.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. So we're at a buyer's consultation.
Okay.
I know the chairs are everywhere. The goal is to get me to sign.
Okay.
And I say, this has been awesome, Jared. I guess I just have one kind of question that makes me a little nervous. So if I sign this, am I going to owe you money? I guess that makes me a little nervous.
Great question. Can you explain to me a little more about what it makes you nervous? What about it makes you nervous?
Yeah, I know you kind of explained usually the seller pays, but I guess what if they don't? And I'm just feeling a little like that's convoluted, and I'm just looking for some reassurance, I guess.
Totally understandable. In fact, that's something that with these new laws coming in place, a lot of people are having questions about.
Okay.
And that's a good thing that you're going to be working with a professional like myself. You're going to give me permission to negotiate on your behalf to make sure that that seller gets it covered for you. And then we're going to just work that, and just like it always has been, it's always been negotiated, up front with the seller, but it's going to come out of the proceeds that you're offering anyway. So it doesn't change anything. And then the 12 years I've been doing this, it's one of the things I can help negotiate on your behalf is to make sure that gets covered. And that way there's nothing coming out of your pocket. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds great.
Perfect. Are you ready to get looking for homes?
Let's do it.
All right.
I'll take your mic, Jared.
Go ahead.
All right. Again, a tough one. Very good job by both of you. Eve, are you crying or laughing?
She's hiding.
Hiding?
Do you want us not to select you so you don't do it again?
I think your starting statement was very impactful and very powerful. When you said, none of us want to pay arbitrarily, but I still need to get paid. I think that was powerful. Like, I have goosebumps. Like, that was really good.
Yeah.
And then, so you handled her objection great. You asked questions perfectly. Jared, I think you did the very same thing. I think you were very strong with giving your question initially, a very strong one. Both of you set the appointment, but I felt a certain bit of power with Eve. And with that, I got to go with Eve.
So I'm going to agree with the majority of what he said. You had a strength in the first question that you had that set the tone for the conversation, right? And the way that you delivered it wasn't harsh. And sometimes if you're not careful, that delivery can be very harsh. In your first sentence, it wasn't harsh, it was factual. And you stood on your confidence of knowledge. And that's how I perceived your conversation at the beginning. Then it just led me to feel trustful in you, in your conversation. You did remember at the end, and you caught yourself, and I caught you catch yourself, to give them the other options, right? So if this doesn't happen, then this will happen. If we are not careful in this, all of this conversation, and we don't allow ourselves to tell them what potentially could happen, that is the hard conversation, the hard part of the conversation. If it should happen, then it's a difficult conversation when we're going down this path in the middle of a transaction. So you gave them that what if, and it's not always fun to deliver that. I think, Jared, you said, I'm going to do this, and this is what's going to happen. I'm nervous about doing that. And I think it probably works really well for you, but I'm nervous not give the good, the bad, and the ugly, so that the expectation is there and it's delivered and it's not so harshful if it happens. And I'm pretty sure that at some point in our life, we're going to experience that, where we're going to have to deal with that difficult conversation. So I think for that purpose, I think I'm going to give it to Eve.
Did you guys both said Eve, right?
Yep.
Okay. One thing I just want to add, really all my stuff is the same as theirs, but I do want to say, Jared, I think you did a really good job of like giving like reassurance. She said she needed reassurance, and I think you did a really good job of doing that, where you were like a professional like myself. You talked about 12 years, and in a really calm way. So I think that was really good, but also I think Eve was just super strong. So good job.
And Eve, guess what? That means you have to go again.
All right. We have Andrew and Elena. Who wants to go first? Okay. Awesome. So I am a seller. We are on a phone call, and the goal is to set an appointment. And so, yeah, I mean, thank you so much for calling me to kind of learn a little more about my situation. I guess where I'm kind of concerned is I really don't want to get out of my 2.5% interest rate to go into a 6% interest rate. So I really want to move, but I'm just not sure it'll be worth it with that jump.
Rachel, thank you for telling me that. I totally understand. And I hear this a lot. Remind me again why you want to move right now?
Yeah, we're really trying to downsize. My husband recently lost his job and is going to be on disability. So it's just kind of the payment. The house is kind of big. And so we wanted to get a smaller house.
Oh, okay. So you want to downsize. Things are a little bit different with the living situation with your husband. That sounds really important. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I do hear this a lot from sellers, and we actually have incredible lenders, and there are a couple things that they can do to lower your interest rate so you're not coming in right at this 7% or 6%. If I could show you the things that we can offer you to lower your rate, so it's a little closer to what you have now, would you be open to having that conversation?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm looking for, so I'm very open to that.
Excellent. How about I come by sometime tomorrow morning around 10? Does that work for you?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Great. Thank you. I'll see you then.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm just grabbing this. We can shake hands too. Oh, you're. Alrighty. So I am a seller. We're on a phone call, and the goal is to set an appointment. And yeah, I mean, I really appreciate you calling me, but I guess, before we get too far into things, I don't really know if I can get out of my 2.5% interest rate into, a 6 or 7% one. That's a little scary.
I got you. I completely understand where you're coming from, Rachel. And to be honest, it's something that we hear a lot with the way interest rates are right now. Now, remind me again why you're purchasing a home in the first place.
Yeah, so we're looking to kind of sell the one we have and downsize. My husband lost his job and is on disability, so we don't need all this space, and we're just kind of looking to save money with him making less now.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. And first off, I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
so that's
appreciate
been an
that.
impact on the family. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
Okay. And so with you guys looking to downsize, what's kind of the main concern with you purchasing this next property, which would obviously really help out your family in regards to switching from that 2.5% to 6% interest rate? Like, what's the main concern there?
Yeah, since we're already downsizing to then have to get a smaller house and with the high interest rates, it feels like we're barely saving money to sacrifice living space. And so that it's kind of hard. So I'm hoping to save money, obviously get something smaller, but I don't even know if it'll make sense looking at switching that interest rate, if we'll even save money.
I get where you're coming from. And is the ideal situation selling the home that you're currently living in, or would you consider renting it out?
I guess we're open to both options.
Okay, perfect. So here's what I think we should do. I've, again, heard this a lot, and I've talked to a lot of clients, and I've talked to a lot of clients through this exact scenario because it has been a common thing that I've heard. Now, what I recommend is having a conversation, just a very open and transparent conversation, and basically just crunching the numbers about what that would look like to be able to move you guys into that smaller home, which is obviously going to really benefit your family, and really just figure out if right now, with the way interest rates are, see if that's the time to do it, or if there's a certain timing that you have to have where you need to wait until that can happen. Regardless, a conversation right now about the numbers and about what that's going to actually make sense financially for you and your family, I think is the best step going forward, so that you at least can leave with more information than you started with, and if the choice makes sense.
Yeah, that makes total sense to me.
Okay, perfect. So can I come over tomorrow at 5 and we can have that conversation?
Let's do it. That sounds good.
Andrew, you're like the king of right at the buzzer. I'm always like, is he gonna close? Is he gonna close? And you always fit it in. It's impressive. Okay, so a couple things I think you guys both did really, really well is you talked about the motivation, which I think matters so much when you're talking about something that's a pain point for them. You have to remind them of what's more painful, the interest rate switch or staying in their current home. And I think you guys both did that pretty well. I'm going to give it to Andrew, mostly because I think that you did a better job of building rapport and just making sure that it was hey, at least you're going to know that you're making the right decision. You're going to have all the information to do what's right for you. So I think that was really powerful.
All right. Again, both of you, great job. Both of you were very sensitive to their situation. I think that's something that if we're talking to a lot of people about this drastic change in their life, sometimes we lose the perspective that this is a huge change for them and something that's very scary and very big, where we're just doing transaction, move on to the next one. I think both of you did a very good job of being sensitive to it being a hard time, especially with disability and their family dynamic changing. So I felt both of you did a very good job of that. Both of you set the appointment, which obviously is very important. So good job there. Andy, a couple of things that I liked is that you had very good follow-up questions, and that I felt like you were compiling a whole bunch of information from her so that you could come with a prescription on how to deal with that thing. And that once you had the information, that's when you could use your expertise and your experience to come up with something that would help. But you did it in a way that left it open for them to make the best decision for their family. You said, let's talk. Let's compile all the information. I'm going to do research. I'm going to bring it to you, and then we'll have a discussion, and you can do what's best for you. And I felt that was pretty masterful. So for that, I'm going with Andrew.
So I'm going to say a couple of things on this. One of the things that I hear when we're doing this, Rachel's giving you an objection, something to handle in it. Andrew, you paint a story, you ask questions, you repeat what their pain point is. And sometimes that works really, really well to remind them of what that pain point is, but it also gives them a story that you're doing. And that's great that you do that. Elena, you really listen to the objection and you give them a solution to the objection. So you said, if I can keep your interest rates to here and you can talk to my lender and we can get you there, we're good. Andrew, you started talking about, let's see if it makes sense for us to move. But what her real objection was the interest rate, right? Not if it makes sense to move today or moving tomorrow. It's really the interest rate. And that can be something that we all do when we're in the middle of it. We're not dealing with the one thing that they're asking us to deal with, that one little thing. And that can change everything. And for that, I'm going to give it to Elena. She dealt with the objection.
Alrighty. So for our final round, by Kyle's request, we have. Oh, my mic's not on. Thank you. Okay, so we have Eve and Andrew, right? Awesome. Who would like to go first? All right, we are switching it up. The final round, you do get an extra minute. By Kyle's request, we are going to do the objection. We're at a listing appointment. I'm a seller. And I say, you know, I just have to say, I want to be honest too. I really am considering just selling it myself. So I'm not really sure. I think I would just save some more money. So thinking I might go that route.
Okay, and you know what, Rachel, that makes so much sense. And by the way, you have a beautiful home here. And
Thank you.
Thanks so much for at least giving me the opportunity.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What do you think you're going to save by doing it yourself?
I mean, definitely the commission. I mean, on a house like this, that's, you know, that's a 5-figure payment that I would be making to somebody. So if I can just save myself that and, you know, net that money instead, that's pretty attractive.
Of course. And remind me one more time, why is it that you're moving?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking to, our kids are grown now. So, you know, just looking to move closer to my parents to take care of them.
Gotcha. Empty nester. I can relate to that.
Yeah.
I just had my last one graduate, so totally get it.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun place. So if you saved money, but yet didn't have the marketing, how fast do you think your house would sell?
I mean, I don't know, maybe not as fast as others, but it's a pretty desirable place to live. I feel like a lot of people, you know, want to live in San Diego. So,
Well, of course. And how do you think your house is going to sell? By just it being pretty or getting eyes on it?
I mean, a little of both, but definitely the eyes are important. I know that.
Okay, and if you sell it yourself, do you think you can get as many eyes on after you saw all my presentation, after you saw all the way I target marketing and that I do open houses and how I even door knock? Do you think you're able to provide that?
I mean, probably won't be able to do that much as I'm still working. So, you know, I do definitely see that angle for sure.
Okay. And with all that being said, and you also want top dollar. Now, have you negotiated before? Have you sold a house before?
I have not.
Okay. Well, I have over 100 agents, and even between all of us, I really feel that I could sell your house for the highest and best, get the most eyes on it. Would that get you to sign this right now so I can get running tomorrow and get your house sold and get you closer to your grandchildren?
I'm open to give it a try.
Okay, let's do it.
All right.
Thanks. Never done all this before.
Love all the notes. Okay, so final round by Kyle's request. We're doing a different objection. I'm a seller. We're at a listing appointment. The goal is to get me to sign. And I say, you know, this presentation's also been great, but I got to be honest with you. I'm also kind of just considering selling it myself and saving a little on the commission.
Okay, gotcha. I completely understand, Rachel. Tell me a little bit more about why you are thinking about selling a home on your own instead of listing with an agent.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like, the commission check's going to be at least 5 figures that I'm paying to somebody. So if I could just do it and save myself that, I might be making some more money.
Okay, gotcha. I get where you're coming from. So I'm understanding that making the most amount of money on the sale, that's the most important thing when selling the home?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Is there anything else that you feel is important in this sales process or in the sale of the property?
I mean, I'd like it to not take forever, but I mean, really for me, it's mostly about the money. I'm willing to sacrifice other things to get the most I can.
Okay, and I completely understand that. If I'm selling my home, I want to make as much money as physically possible too. And that's what we want for our clients at the end of the day. Now, remind me of, again, why you're actually selling the property?
Yeah, so we're looking to, what did I say the first time? I'm retiring. We're looking to retire. I need to be closer to my family. My kids have left, so just want to be closer to my parents to help take care of them a little bit.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's really noble of you to be able to help your parents.
Yeah.
Now, what would that money that you're making do for you when it comes to your retirement and being able to help your parents on this next step of your life?
Yeah, I mean, we're looking to just take that money, invest it. For us, we want to retire faster, downsize a little bit and use some of that as to contribute to our nest egg after retirement.
That makes sense, and that's really important. And so if I were to be able to show you a way that you could net more money working with an agent as opposed to selling it on your own, and I'm talking bottom line, you walk away with retirement with more money in your bank account. If I could show you a way that you could do that, would you consider selling with an agent?
Definitely.
Okay, perfect. So we've kind of gone over the slides a little bit here, but this is our 7-day listing launch. So you can see here all of the different things that we do to market your home. Now, selling on your own, you could probably, understand that marketing the home to as many buyers as physically possible is probably pretty important, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And could you see a scenario where having as many eyes on the property and having as many offers as possible, could you see how getting those offers and pinning them against each other to try to create a bidding war and making you more money could result in a higher sales price?
Yeah, I mean, that logically, that makes sense.
Okay, perfect. And then check out this slide at the end here. So on average, we actually make our clients 3.5% more when we sell their home than the average agent does. And that's the average agent. That's not the average homeowner, which is what you are. So you could see that the way we market, we get a lot of eyes and we get a lot of offers. And we're on average going to be able to make you 3.5% more. And so if you're able to pay me a commission, you won't have to worry about anything, and you're going to make more money. Doesn't it kind of make sense to just let us handle it and you can go off into your retirement?
Yeah, that's a good point. I hear you.
All right, sign here.
Let's do it.
Thanks, Kyle.
Am I going first? All right. Again, amazing job for both of you. I think the experience that Andrew has as an ISA really shows in how smooth and effortless he makes the conversation go, but it goes in the direction that he wants it to go, while still giving them the autonomy to answer on their own behalf real things and real feelings, not being painted in a corner and just making the response based on some pointed question. So that I really liked, Andrew. For Eve, I really liked your question about yes, both of you mentioned marketing, very, very important. What I liked about Eve is that you expressed that it's not it's about marketing, but it's also about someone negotiating on your behalf. And you asked the question, have you ever negotiated the sale of a home before? Which I think is very, very powerful, because I think a lot of people forget that. They just look at the numbers and they forget the minutia in between this game that we play as realtors, this back and forth dance with a buyer's agent where 10 or 20 or 30 grand, which for us, we kind of look over sometimes because we lose that perspective maybe. But for the actual seller to 10, 20, 30 grand makes a huge difference. And that negotiating, I think, is powerful. So I really liked that question from Eve. The question that Andrew asked if there was a way that I could show you that we could make you more, put money in your pocket, and still represent you, would you sign? That's hard to say no to. Who would say no? And I think that was a very powerful question that Eve, I think you were almost there. You almost asked that, but Andrew did. And for that, I'm going to give it to Andrew.
You guys are amazing because you guys are up here and you've done such an amazing job at all of this, and it's super hard, and I've not gotten the guts to do this shit. So just let you know, I've been here 3 years, and you're not gonna, I will call in sick if they make me come up here. So just letting you know that shit won't happen for me ever. Ever. Me and Jen, we ran out one time when we had to do it. We were nervous as shit. Yeah, we did. Yeah, we had to take shots. So by the way, still didn't work. With that being said, I think I'm going to start with Eve on this one. I feel like Eve, you're amazing at everything you do. The confidence that you have is so amazing. It's hard. It's hard in this business. It's hard in this business to maintain that confidence, even when you're nervous, and the consistency that you have in the confidence. I think if you would have slowed down a little bit and asked a few more questions, you would have been able to build a little bit more rapport and gotten, because this was quick for you. This was a 30 seconds and I got the appointment. Normally out there, it takes a lot longer than that. So for that, there's that for Eve, and her confidence is amazing. Andrew, you tell a story and you take them down the path you want them to go by asking questions. And often we talk about, you want these clients to say yes, yes, yes. And you're gearing those questions for them to say yes. So then when it comes to that one question, let's set the appointment, they're going to say yes. And you do that really, really easily. It's just something that you do, you have a knack for. And for that, I'm going to give it to Andrew.
Most of the stuff that I noticed was really the same as what Lisa and Evan noticed. Andrew, I think you did a really good job of like saying more money in your bank account. Like those things were really powerful. And Eve, for someone who's as nervous as you are, you got up here and kicked ass. I'm so impressed. The other thing I want to add is that, Andrew, you ask questions in a way that is so disarming. Like, it's like you have this like calming kind of nature about you that I think is really powerful. I'm going to go with Andrew, not that it matters anyway, but good job, guys.
Cool. All right. So like we said earlier, right, you're in tough times, you're going to fall back to like your lowest level of training. So the more you practice this, the higher that lowest level gets. So you just want to kind of reiterate to you guys, anytime you're questioning, like, should I get on role play today? Should I come into the office? Should I do the role play? Like, that's your choice. Where do you want that lowest level to be for you? Right? Those of you guys that show up every single week, week after week after week in the office, that show up every single day on the phone, like, it's up to you. Where do you want that lowest level to be? Right? Andrew dominated that, and Eve, massive shout out. Like, she did not want to do this at all. She was peer pressured very heavily into doing this. And shout out to all the new people who stepped up. You guys, like, that's so hard. Like, most of you guys don't have the balls to do this at all. And these girls all stepped up here and put it out there, which was super impressive. So shout out to all you guys that are brand new. This is how we get better, guys. Grow or die. You got to put yourself outside of your comfort zone, and this is that opportunity to grow and get better and raise that bar. And that's how we go from 33% listing conversion to 69%, right? I'd love to get that up, somewhere in that 75 to 80 is where I think that number should be. And that comes from just practicing as many freaking times as humanly possible. Couple quick announcements. I don't know if everybody can see the screen, but